My name is Johnathan Ahlf. I'm a freshman at the University of Cumberland. I'll be showing you today how we can achieve environmental wellness through the Sahara. Okay, so, 3 years ago, I moved to the state of Kentucky from Iowa with my family. Upon doing so, I finished high school and joined the local university and its debate team. I have throughout this year learned of many harms that are currently affecting the world, and the harm that has been closest home for me, both literatively and figuratively, harms the environmental wellness of the Appalachia area and those who live in it. This here on the right is what mountains look like before, and on the left what mountains look like after the usage of mountaintop removal, or MTR. So what is MTR? MTR is blowing the tops off of mountains, but really there's more to it than that. It is a 7-step process, the first being that coal companies clear all brush, debris and trees from the mountainside. The second is that the debris is set on fire. The third is that large pits are then dug. The fourth is that the holes are filled with explosives. The fifth is that 800 to 1,000 feet of the mountaintops are blown off. The sixth step is that the rubble is pushed into the nearby valleys and streams. And the seventh is that the coal is finally extracted. So part of debate is knowing when the benefits outweigh the costs, or when the costs outweigh the benefits. And so many who don't live in the Appalachia area may believe that we need the coal, so that the few mountains that are being ruined should not outweigh this, should not stop us from obtaining the energy that we need. Take it from me, someone who has lived on both the outside and who currently lives on the inside of this region, meaning that I have a more unique perspective on this, that the costs greatly outweigh any benefits that can be brought forth by this. So there are 3 main benefits put forward by those who support mountaintop removal. The first being that it is cheaper than the other mining methods, but to counter that, I will talk about how it is also more destructive to the environment. The second is that it is a more efficient method compared to others. To counter that, I will show that that is not true. And third, it keeps the energy crisis at bay, but coal is going to run out and then we will have another energy crisis. So, to counteract those benefits, the first way we're going to look at this is where they say it's cheaper. So the Journal of Environmental Science and Technology in January of 2016 says that 10% of Appalachia, or more than 500 mountains and 2,500 square miles, which is roughly the size of Delaware, are affected by mountaintop removal. So just because it's cheaper doesn't mean it's necessarily better, because it is harming the environment and the size of the Delaware. The efficiency of it, the Washington Post on August 21st of 2017 posted an article that shows that actually only 1% of coal comes from MTR. The Energy Information Administration shows that the United States produced 4,178 billion kilowatt hours of energy in 2017. 27.4% of that, or 1,146 billion kilowatt hours, came from coal. So 1% of that means that MTR only produced 11.46 billion kilowatt hours in 2017. So of the 4,178 billion kilowatt hours, a small proportion of 11.46 billion kilowatt hours actually came from mountaintop removal coal. So this, again, is not true that it is more efficient than other energy sources. And the third is that it's keeping the energy crisis at bay. But again, this is a non-renewable energy, meaning that we're going to run out and we're going to have another crisis that we're going to have to solve later on. And today I have brought forth how to solve this for you. So I've shown you the problem, and now I'm going to show you my idea on how to approach and solve this problem. First, we will look at the harms brought forth by this problem. Next, we will look at what we will do to get rid of it. After that, we will talk about some advantages of getting rid of it. Fourth, I will tell you how we can replace the lost energy. And finally, what advantages are brought to us and the rest of the world. So the first harm being that of deforestation. The Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act does not require reforestation according to the EPA. As a result, companies do not repair what they destroyed, causing a thinning of forests. Thinning the forests endangers wildlife in these areas by destroying their homes and food supplies. The next harm that I'd like to touch on is that of the water contamination. The EPA estimates 2,000 miles worth of streams have been buried in MTR valley fills. Again, 2,000 miles worth of streams have been buried, and more than that have been poisoned by these. Because of the removal of vegetation, runoff has increased 3 to 5 times in these areas, causing an increase in flooding. The reason this matters is because according to the EPA, this runoff contains chemicals from explosives, mining equipment, and the earth. There is 40% of wells in these areas with a higher percentages of iron, manganese than legally safe because of this runoff. 150 wells have been found to contain antimony, lead, arsenic, and barium, and these metals have been found to cause cancer, birth defects, brain damage, and death. So then we will look at how it harms individuals themselves. First, we'll look at the physical harms of this. So more than 2,000 peer-reviewed studies have found MTR causing health impacts as reported on the West Virginia Public Radio August 3rd of 2016. Michael Hendricks of Indiana University gave a congressional testimony in 2015 on how MTR has been associated with heart disease, lung cancer, birth defects, and predominantly kidney diseases. Heart disease has a 181% higher rate in MTR counties than surrounding areas, according to Hendricks. There's also 1,460 extra deaths in MTR areas compared to those surrounding them per year. And then we will talk about the psychological harms caused by MTR. According to the GRIST on February 17, 2016, PTSD is caused in these areas because blasting can happen within 300 feet of a home 24/7. Two, these bombs are 100 times the strength of the bombs used in the Oklahoma bombings. Ecopsychology proved in 2012 and 2013 with 2 studies that counties with MTR have a significantly higher depression rate. People are 1.5 times more likely to be depressed in these counties. Okay. So, now that you know the harms, but what is the solution to this? The solution is this. We will lobby to get an executive order passed by the President to end the effects of MTR in the United States. After this is done, the United States federal government's Office of Surface Mining, Reclamation, and Enforcement will enact a 3-step policy. 1, there will be a referendum put on all MTR evacuation sites. 2, those who caused the mess will be trained to clean up the mess. And 3, the effects of MTR will be cleaned up. So, now we will look at how we can fund this. So, funding with the government, we need to find out where we can pull this from. This is from the fiscal year of what's been allotted for 2020. So from the Environmental Justice Program, as found on page 192 of their report, shows that they have $2,739,000 as found on page 150 of their report. So what is the Environmental Justice Program underneath the EPA? Well, its job is to foster environmental and public health improvements in low-income minority and tribal indigenous communities by directly addressing the effects of vulnerable and overburdened communities to address environmental public health challenges. So it is responsible for monitoring and identifying the sources of and reducing pollutants in local water sources as well. So MTR falls under this category. The Integrated Environmental Strategies Program, as found on page 277, is for advances the EPA's mission of protection, human health, and the environment while promoting economic growth at the community level. Community-driven economic protection and technical assistance and training is the EPA's cornerstone of the EPA's cooperative approach to addressing environmental challenges in communities, particularly communities that are economically distressed, such as MTR communities are in the Appalachia area, and they have $8,828,000 according to page 152 of the report. The Central Planning, Budgeting, and Finance Program, as found on page 298 of the report's job, is management of integrated planning, budgeting, financial management, performance, and risk assessment, and reporting and financial systems to ensure effective distribution of resources. And according to the report on page 152, they have $71,100,000 allotted to them. The RCRA corrective actions, as found on page 332, is to ensure that the contaminated facilities subject to RCRA requirements are cleaned up by the responsible party, returned to productive use, and keeps costs from being transferred to the taxpayer portion of the Superfund. And they have $33,202,000 according to page 152 of the report. The RCRA Waste Management on page 335 of the report sets national standards for managing hazardous waste and provides federal agencies, state, tribal, and local governments and industries with technical assistance on waste management, resource recovery, conservation. And they have $48,813,000 according to page 152 of the report. And the Surface Water Protection Program found on page 376 is supposed to directly support efforts to protect, improve, and restore the quality of our nation's coasts, rivers, lakes, and streams. And they have $188,233,000 according to page 153 of the report. Now, I've thrown a lot of numbers at you and a lot of different things out at you. So now I'll walk through what is their job. The Environmental Justice Program, again, that's what they're created for. Again, with these as well. The Central Planning, Budgeting, and Finance Program can allocate some of these funds because it's their job to distribute funds. The Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, one will help with teaching the corrective actions and with the waste management. And the Surface Water Protection Program, it's their job to protect the streams and waterways of the United States. So, besides all of the harms listed above being solved for that I've talked about with the health problems and the loss of mountains, there is a great advantage brought forth, and that is that of tourism. If MTR continues, the mountains will be destroyed and these Appalachia areas will be greatly affected. There is only a 1 to 2 decade supply of coal actually in these areas, and so if MTR would stop, it would economically benefit these areas more through tourism than it would through MTR, because it would lower the unemployment rate by increasing jobs, which would increase household income. Watauga County in North Carolina is proof of this because 1, MTR has been banned in this county, and 2, they had North Carolina's lowest unemployment rate in 2018 of 3.4% according to homefacts.com. TheBalance.com states that the average household income in 2017 was $61,372 a year. Appalachia contains 13 states, and only 3 were above the average household income in 2017. These being New York, Virginia, and Maryland, according to 100 days in Appalachia.com. The 10 below were Alabama with $48,123 a year, Georgia with $56,183 a year, Kentucky with $48,375 a year, Mississippi with $43,529 a year, North Carolina with $52,752 a year, Ohio with $54,021 a year, Pennsylvania with $59,195 a year, South Carolina with $50,570 a year, Tennessee with $51,340 a year, West Virginia with $43,469 a year. So boosting tourism to these areas, these 10 out of 13 Appalachia areas, will help them get back at least to the yearly household income average. So this shows us that MTR has bad effects on the economy in 77% of the states it is located in. So therefore, eliminating it can increase the economic benefits for those in these areas. So now we will talk about how and why the Sahara, why I have chosen this for you. So again, you may be wondering why I've chosen this Sahara, and we're talking about environmental wellness. Well, the Green New Deal that I'm proposing, Saharan Paradise, is going to bring environmental wellness throughout the world. Solar energy used in the Sahara will not only bring limitless power, but also help the Sahara become a paradise. Putting forth this plan will, 1, because of the before listed, putting forth this plan will help solve the before listed issues, will solve the harms I am about to mention, and will bring forth its own advantages for you. So as per last time, I will start off with how we will fund this. Referring back to the EPA's fiscal plan for 2020, this will be funded through the International Sources of Pollution, as found on page 254. The International Sources of Pollution is an EPA department that works with partners to address international sources of pollution. And I quote, develop healthy environments, ecosystems, and communities, providing the foundation for economic development, food security, and sustainable growth. As found on page 151, this department has $5,339 in funding. So there are 2 big harms currently with the energy industry that will be solved by my plan. The first problem is the matter of when we will run out, not if we will run out of fossil fuels. With the current coal reserves we have, we will run out of coal by 2130 the year, according to the World Coal Association. So our current fuel supply has just over 100 years left, meaning we need to act as soon as possible. The second harm is that our carbon footprints are increasing. The EPA found that 65% of the United States carbon emissions came from fossil fuels in 2017. And carbon emissions reached an all-time high in 2018, according to the Washington Post. My plan will solve for both of these major harms. So Miran Molam, an expert on energy and engineering at UC Berkeley, stated that the entire world could be powered with just 1.2% of the Saharan desert. So just to give a numerical number to that, the Sahara has roughly 3.6 million square miles of available land. So that means with 43,000 square miles of the Sahara, having solar panels on 43,000 square miles, we can power the entire world. We would not only eliminate our carbon footprint, we would eliminate the world's carbon footprint. With such a limited energy source, we need to place these solar panels in the Sahara because we're going to run out of energy if we don't act fast. Besides solving for the listed harms, this also brings many advantages forth. So you may have been puzzled when I referred to my plan as the Saharan Paradise. This is because my plan will not only will not only bring forth the energy, it will also change the environment of this area in the Sahara where it's located. According to Jan Lee in the journal Science, in his article, Climate Model Shows Large-Scale Wind and Solar Farms in the Sahara Increase Rain and Vegetation. Doing this will revolutionize the use of solar panels. Power. Lee tells us that solar panels reduce the amount of sunlight reflecting off the Earth. They do this by maintaining or holding on to solar rays. Lee's research shows that this will increase precipitation by 50% in the Sahara, causing an increase in vegetation cover at 20%. This then will allow for improvements in rain-fed agriculture, allowing for the Saharan citizens' production of food to increase, allowing for their health and well-being to improve, and there is an increase in livestock, also allowing for more beneficial diets. All of these increases help those in poverty because there will be an increase in jobs, so they will be able to get the things that are needed, such as medicine. So today I have given a plan to solve for a problem that affects the Appalachia areas, and that will also help improve the lives of others. So to wrap things up, I will show how my case solves many of the subtopics listed on your site underneath the wellness category. The first of these is being that of social wellness. Social wellness will increase in two ways. One, communities will get together to help clean their regions, improving their relationships with one another by creating a bond and solving a problem. Two, people will improve their communities by the contribution of maintaining tourism, which is increasing the economy of these communities. Next, we will have physical wellness. The environment's physical wellness in both areas will increase. In the mountaintop removal regions, or Appalachia regions, we will see an increase in vegetation, a decrease in flooding, and a decrease in water pollution. The Sahara region will have the ability for people to gain the proper nutrients, and the amount of rain and vegetation for these people will increase. And emotional wellness is greatly affected by MTR, but with my plan, we will see a decrease in PTSD and depression rates in the Appalachia areas. And intellectual wellness in both areas will increase. In the Appalachia area, they will gain the proper knowledge on how to clean areas greatly damaged by MTR. The Sahara will gain technological knowledge on how to run solar farms and how to advance the farms in their region. Environmental wellness, as defined by your page, is the improvement of the quality of air, water, land, and space. My plan today increases the quality of water and land in the Appalachia area because the harms such as lead in the water or the loss of mountains will no longer occur, and increases the Sahara's quality of land by increasing vegetation, allowing for production of more crops, and creating the ability to better cultivate animals. So my plan also helps lower some common healing needs around the world. Heart disease that is 181% more likely in these areas will go down. The increase that is in lung cancer around these areas will go down. And the short supply of personal health services in the Sahara will increase because they will have better funding to do these things. Problems that would decrease with the health community that were not mentioned on your page would be birth defects would be lowered in these areas. Brain damage and kidney disease would also be lowered in these areas. The excess of 1,460 deaths per year in these areas caused by MTR would also be lowered. These can all be fixed by my plan. So today I've provided a solution to the environmental wellness of the Appalachia area and the Sahara. This solution will improve these areas and create clean energy for the world. So I ask you, will you create a Saharan paradise with me?